Hello, everyone, and we are live, episode 46 of the Fitness Business Growth Podcast. I'm here with Nick Hunter. Today, we're talking about Nick's journey as an early franchisee of Revl Training and a brand new software he's developed, Recovr. Nick, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Really good. Yourself?
Awesome. Thank you, mate. Let's cue the intro, and we'll get started.
Welcome to the Fitness Business Growth Podcast, a podcast run by gym owners for gym owners. My name is Mitch, and along with Jayme, we are your hosts, and we will be discussing all the important things that you need to run a successful fitness business. From marketing to lead generation to sales to retention to staff and much, much more. So if you are a fitness business owner, then this is for you. We hope you enjoy the following episode, and we will speak with you soon.
So, Nick, I've got to say this quickly. It says we talk about sales, retention, and staff, but let's be honest, it's usually lead generation and sales. There's not much about retention, which is why I invited you onto the podcast today. Mate, how are you?
I'm good. I must admit, I was going through your podcast the other day, and it is very heavy leads and sales. So I'm glad you invited me on.
Right, sex sells, right? Gym owners don't want to hear about retention. But
Tell
mate,
me about it.
As we both know, as we are both gym owners, we understand the importance of retention. And sometimes, mate, I'll go into businesses and they don't actually have a lead gen or sales issue. They signed up 200 people and 210 people have left. My exact example, mate, is 2015. We opened up a gym in Curry. We signed up 280 people in 3 months, different time in the world. And we had 210 cancel. I'm like, where are all these bloody members?
It's nuts. But it's so common though, isn't it? Yeah, I think, and I don't know why it is. Maybe it's just because everybody else does it. But you're so heavily focused on leads and new members, and you ring the bell when a new member signs, and it's great. But if they're going out the other end, you're in strife.
Yeah, I always like to draw analogies back to fitness, mate, because our audience understands it really well. Like at the end of the day, you can do as much exercise as you want, but if you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not going to lose weight. The principle is you can sign as many people as you want, but if more people are losing, your net member movement is going to continue to go backwards. So, Nick, what impressed me about you the most, mate, is that we're the same. As in, we own gyms, we walk the walk. This isn't theory, it is practical. Now, forgive me if I got this wrong. Were you the first ever franchisee of Revl Training? We
were. There was sort of a group of us. There was 2 or 3, I think, that opened at the similar time. But we'll claim it. We're definitely the number one.
Number one. So, mate, I had the number 2 franchisee of F45 on. So you're the first number 1 I've ever had on.
Yeah.
I'm just going to track down the first franchisees of FitSop and BFT and just complete the role. But, mate, before Revl, what was your experience like? Like, how did you get into the fitness industry?
Yeah, so I'm actually a physio by trade. So I was consulting for the last sort of 10 years. I ran my own physio clinic for probably 4 or 5 of those years. But always loved fitness. Always trained on the side. And for me, I thought, I wanted a place where I could send my clients that were recovering from their injury into a space I trusted the training and the product to get them fitter and stronger again. So I was lucky enough that a mate of mine approached me, and he sort of came from the fitness industry and said, mate, we should open up this gym. We've got this concept of having the gym, but then also the physio clinic off to the side, and then the rest is sort of history.
So the gym and physio clinic to the side, was that not a Revl? Was that like a test? Was that a different brand, a different name? What was that first location?
Yeah, so that was a different brand, a different name. They were another franchise that they're not longer around anymore, but they were from Sydney. And so they had that model in Sydney as well. And that's sort of what attracted us to them. But in saying that, we always knew that was the model that we wanted. And even thinking about it now, going back all those days, like when you talk about the gym space, the number of members that might get injured in the gym it's all about trying to keep them and get them back into the same facility. So,
well, mate,
that
I've
was
torn my ACL twice, so I've visited every physio in Newcastle, and it took me a long time to find one that I trust and that I refer out to. And what I mean by refer out to is physios don't fearmonger and scare the members from returning, as we know that movement is the answer to most things. So it's definitely a thing that we struggled with, where someone would go to a physio and they've got a bad big toe, they got a bunion. Oh, you can't do upper body, cancel your membership.
Don't train, just stop. Yeah. Well, that's it. Is it like, my whole philosophy with physio was there's always something you can do. So if you've got a shoulder issue, you can sit on a bike for 40 minutes. Like
100%.
It's not rocket science. And the thing that I think some physios don't quite understand with people that train, like, fitness is their life. Like, that's their happy place. It's their community. As soon as you pull out of that community, like, their life tends to go on a different way. So
for me, mate, I've dealt with some chronic pain in my life, and people that go through chronic pain don't understand what it's like to have a sore knee for 10 years and how much it can get you down, and how depressive is a strong word, but it exercise for me, it is my antidepressant. It what makes me feel good, keeps me sharp, it keeps me clear, it allows me to eat more food. Food's great. So for me, mate, like, training has been my anchor since I was 18, and when it's taken away from me, I am a different human being.
Yeah, I feel you. You're grumpy. You're not a nice person to be around generally.
Yeah, I don't handle objections quite as well. I don't handle cancellations quite as well.
No, that's true. Well, the thing is, again, all about retention, but you often see members that will have an injury and they'll just sit on your suspension list. They'll sit there for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and then all of a sudden, they're gone. They don't come back. Once a member's on the suspension list for over 3-4 weeks, like, 9 times out of 10, they're gone.
They're a cancellation in our world. They're on net member movement. So, mate, I want to talk about the transition from one franchise to then opening up Revl training. Now, I think I mentioned to you, I'm in Newcastle, New South Wales.
Yep.
There is one Revl in Newcastle at Charlestown. Talk to me about being the first franchisee of Revl, like how you opened it. What was that experience like? Because when you open a franchise, you're effectively buying into a system, buying into a brand. But at that point in Unley, Revl didn't have a brand. So how did you take that from unknown to known to having a successful studio?
Yeah, a lot of work.
What?
I think, like, for us, because we did have a gym already and we had some members that were with us, the transition for us was just about bringing those members along for the journey and telling the story of why we're transitioning to this brand. I was lucky that we worked really closely with head office to get the product right, to implement the systems that needed to be built out. And so for us, it wasn't so much leaning on the franchise to help grow our gym. It was also sort of helping them build their brand.
That's interesting, right? So I want to dive into this, mate, because I talk to a lot of franchisees that aren't exactly happy with head office. And, mate, I have members in my gym that aren't happy with me, right? Like, you cannot make everyone happy. Not every location is going to be successful. Not every person is going to follow the franchisee blueprint. In that relationship, what did they give you day one that you didn't have? Or what was the biggest thing you learned transitioning from one franchise into opening another?
Yeah. So the biggest thing they gave us was the workouts, was the programming, was the structure of the workouts. And Revl was quite unique in a way that, we do run sort of 2 classes, 2 programs at once on selected days. And so, when you go into that a little bit deeper, like, there's a whole lot of logistical nightmare, in that, because, you need to program differently. You can't use the same equipment for both sides. So there's a lot of sort of complexities within that programming. And that's what a lot of members were attracted to, because we were running the different styles of training. So that was sort of the biggest thing that they gave us, was the programming side of things.
Yep. So in regards to the different types of programming, some form of periodization, some form of progression in your training, which is the exact thing that other F45s lacked when they were just doing 45 seconds of star jumps.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're going to get results doing that, aren't you?
Well, like F45 did amazing things for the industry, mate. But like even at like our gyms, we have it where like there's only so many star jumps you can do in 45 seconds. There's only so many burpees. Like if someone hits their weight loss goal, there has to be a progression in their training, whether it's getting stronger, whether it's getting fitter, improving their aerobic capacity. Because if there isn't progression, they don't love it like us. They feel like they don't need it anymore. And I guess that's where Fitstop, BFT, and Revl have come in to try and, I guess, to further what F45 created, which is to have a periodized program. And I guess you with your physio background, that would have just rang a bell in your head.
Yeah, bang on. And like, I think F45, like, as you said, they have done a really good thing for the industry. You know, they've got a lot of people exercising and training that probably wouldn't have trained beforehand. And really that's, the more people that are moving, exercising, and training, the better, I think. And so
100%.
we tend to get a lot of members that come from F45 because they're looking for that next level of progression.
F45 popularized group training at $50 per week. For all of your franchisees that can't sell, there's no seller required because they understand what the price is. They kind of understand the concept. So, man, like speaking from someone, I'm in 100 gyms at the moment across all the franchises except Revl. That's a good thing because it means you guys are doing well. Like F45, they still get a really good cost per lead, cost per booking, cost per acquisition. But what they're missing is they just have these enormous churn rates, like where these gyms have 200 members, but they lose 40 a month.
Yeah, it's nuts. And you're right. It's because there's, I dare say part of it, there is no progression to their training, which I think, I think there's a couple of new studios that are rolling out, definitely in SA, that are introducing a different type of training, I guess, for F45. They're including more strength-based work, which is where the industry is going. You look at the popular trends, strength training is right up there with the number one trend in the fitness industry. So they need to get on that bandwagon. And I think that's where Revl definitely stands out is the quality of programming is like nothing I've seen before. So
mate, sell me on if F45 was hit and BFT, Fitstop, and Revl, they all say strength training is important. I agree with you. So the CrossFit. What actually makes Revl different? What is the unique selling point?
It's a good question. You're putting me under pressure here.
Well, mate, the marketer in me.
I think the biggest.
The marketer in me thinks if I'm marketing for a Revl, what is the unique selling point? Yeah.
So the best thing about Revl is that we run two programs. So on one side we've got a program called Move, which is more, higher reps, still strength training, but sort of in between that 8, 12, 15 rep range. Okay. You're still doing your main lifts. You're still squatting. You're still doing a deadlift, every single week. They don't do a huge amount of bench press, but then you pair that to our Perform side, which is on the other side, which runs 3 times a week. And you squat, you dead, and you bench every single week. And then you've got a periodized training program that, for 4 weeks, you're doing some volume work. For the next 4 weeks, you're building your base. So you might be doing rep ranges of sort of that 4 to 8 range. And then you're doing your testing week. So your last phase, which is all about building up to a 1 RM max. So the structure of the program is really, it is the way that you should train, I guess, to get results.
If you're taking, so you have an athlete at a base level, and the idea of going through both programs is you will increase your strength, you will increase your power, you'll increase your cardiovascular endurance all at one. It's not just a matter of here's your kettlebell, off you go.
Yeah. It's not random. It's not just we'll just do this today and then we'll do this today. They spend a huge amount of time thinking about it.
Nick, I'm insulted. I'm really, really insulted, Nick. I actually just get to the gym at 5:15 in the morning. on the whiteboard. What
Oh
did we do yesterday? That's exactly how I used to progress.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that if that's just what you want to do. But yeah, I guess it's called Perform for a reason, because they are looking to improve the performance of the members. So that's that's the best thing. And the other thing is the group style training. It's actual team workout. So on a Saturday, there's teams of 4, teams of 5. You work together as a target, you get it done, and that builds community. That builds, that's your retention strategy. So it's
one of the most valuable things I learned, mate, is I played AFL for a long time. And I love the footy club, mate. I love training Tuesdays. I love training Thursday. I love game day. I love Saturday beers. I love Sunday recovery. And with our 2 gyms, we actually tried to run it like a footy club, where like it is the exercise. The football is a byproduct of the relationships you make at the club. And I think that's where the community is so important to the gym.
Bang on. It's funny you say that. So we just had our 5th year celebration. And I got up and did a bit of a speech, which I don't normally do. I normally leave it all to the coaches. And I said the exact same thing, that when we started this, we had one mission, and that was to create a community-based sporting club feel to the gym and grab their characteristics of what makes a good sporting club and implement that into the gym space. And that's what it's all about. It's about that community. It's about rocking up and your members, you're actually caring about your members and checking in on them and, building relationships and all those sorts of things.
100%. So you had the first ever Revl training. How many locations does Revl have today? Roughly?
I reckon they're around 25.
25. And I guess you having that successful studio, call it the flagship studio, what was the biggest lessons from that studio that has been passed on to the next 24? And is there any particular thing you're proud of? Like, hey, like I worked this out at this studio. I'm proud to see it's been rolled out to all the other franchisees.
Yeah, I think when you look in Adelaide alone or SA, I think we've got 5, 6, 7 Revls. So we've got the highest concentration of Revls. I think that the biggest thing that I'm proud of is our community. Everyone says, gyms, you go to any gym and they say they've got the best community. We constantly get messages from our members, new members, that say, hey, I've been to some really good community-based gyms, but there's nothing quite like what I've just experienced walking in. And that's having, we've got members. We don't even sell. Like literally, we barely need to sell, because we'll have new members that come in, and then we'll have old members that will go up, introduce them, talk about the product, talk about the community. They'll help them throughout the session. They're laughing with the new members. They've never even met them before. And then all we have to do is just like, okay, what membership option do you want?
Yeah. It's one of my favorite things when our OG members, the fittest members in the room, they walk up to the newbie, and if they partner up with them, effectively sacrificing their own workout, that makes me so fucking proud.
Yeah, bang on. And it's because they care. They care about the community. They care about the gym. But yeah, that would be hands down the best thing. And I think Revl, generally has, you go into most studios, and I think you can sort of feel the community inside those gyms.
Yeah. One of the things I'm most proud of, mate, and my dream is to roll it out into all 25 Revls. If you're listening, we have an annual trivia night every single year, the last 7 years. We have a local family in the area in Newcastle in need. For example, it's a member's sick relative. Dog Rescue Newcastle. I rescue 2 dogs from there. Love that organization. We have an annual trivia night. We have every member attend, bring a friend, bring a partner. It's $40 per head. We get 200 to 250 at this event, and we raise $10K in a single night for a local family in need, man. And it is so simple. It is call a community RSL. Hey, can I book this venue? 250 people. And if your members get behind the cause, mate, they'll bring their friends, they'll bring their family. Just imagine, mate, Revl do it 1 night of the year. All 25 locations do it. $250,000 to a cause. It's really fucking cool. And mate, like I love obviously like charity boot camps and stuff, but when you get them out, get your members every time session, books a table. Man, it works so well. Mitch and I host the events. We write the questions. We make asses of ourselves. And I think that's part of the community too, is just making sure like, hey, like, yes, I love fitness. Yes, I love health, but man, I also love having a good time. And thanks for being here.
I love that. That's awesome. I love the raising some money and charity side of things. We run not as we essentially run a spring affair, a spring carnival. So same sort of thing. We do a quiz, we run sort of events, we do a fashion parade throughout the day. We don't put any money behind it, which I think that's definitely something that we can do. So if my studio manager is listening to this, that's something that we can do next year. But we put all of our late fees. We put all of our late fees towards a charity each.
Man, that's
quarter.
cool. Yeah. So with that new trivia night, we have it's $40 per head. There's 8 rounds of questions, and then we get a massive check made up, right? And every single person that attended the event, their name is on that check, and it's hanging up in our gym. So one thing, we raised $66,000 for families in Newcastle. Super proud of that. But every single time a person walks into our gyms, there's a big fucking check on the wall. like obviously the community's there, but people want to give back. They want to be a part of something bigger. And it gives our members so much pride to see their names on a check when they've donated money to Dog Rescue Newcastle.
Yeah, I love that. Congratulations, mate. That's
thank you, mate.
Awesome.
In all seriousnness, every single gym in Australia should do it. Because there's something about raising money because we originally raised money. We raised money for a breast cancer foundation. Obviously, I've got nothing against breast cancer, but there's something about doing it in the local area, man. And it's horrible to say, but someone in your community has a loved one that's going through it at the moment. And if you can do it for them or a member, mate, it's really, really special.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's a great idea.
So, mate, you own Revl Training Unley, first location, retention. Let's get into the topic of today's. So you've invented a new software called Recovr, and I'm not going to pretend I know what it does yet. But I guess first things first, mate, is I want to talk about retention in general and how important it is. So, mate, do you want to just give us a brief summary of what a churn rate is and how it can impact gyms around Australia?
Yeah, so essentially churn is the number of members that leave each month, divided by the number of your total member number. So generally gyms will sit between the 5 and 10% churn rate each month. Some of your really good gyms will sit under that 5%. We are lucky that we sort of sit, not lucky, we put a heap of work into it, but we sort of sit around that 2% each month. Some of the other gyms that we work with and we know will sit around that 2 or 3% each month. And so really,
if you don't mind, Nick, I'll expand on that. So gym owners listening, if you have 100 members, if you have a 10% churn rate, it means you lose 10 members a month. Now, that might not seem like a huge problem, but at scale, it certainly is. Because if you have 200 members and your churn is 10% per month, you lose 20 members. And if you have 300 members, your churn is 30 members. And if you have a profitable gym and you're churning 20 people per month, you probably need 35 to 40 trials to replace that people. From there, you need 200 leads for 40 trials. And operationally, it just adds layers and layers and layers of complexity and layers of people's time that most gym owners don't have.
Yeah. And the other thing with that as well, think about the competition in your local area. If every gym is doing that in your local area, there's only so many people around your gym. So you're going to eventually you're not going to run out, but you're fishing in a really small pond.
I'd love to share a story with you, Nick, because I did run out of people. So 24 years old, young, thought I was great, knew nothing about life, business, knew nothing about anything. We had a location in Kurri. We got it to 509 members in 12 months. Luck, pure luck, timing, location. And then about 3 years later, we had 200 members. And we literally burned through the town. We had ads running 52 weeks a year for 3 years straight. Front doors open, back doors open too. So if you are a local gym owner and it's getting harder and harder to acquire customers, your cost per lead, cost per booking, cost per acquisition continues to go up, you are going to run out of people. So take care of the people in your studio. And that's man, that was a huge lesson for me. it's a real thing. Like, it's not like there's an infinite number of people in Unley that will resonate with Revl.
Yeah, bang on. And I think as well, like, the fitness space is getting more and more competitive. So, probably traditionally over the last 5 years, you probably could get away with having a churn rate of 7%, which would be classified as about average. But I think these days, like, if you're running a boutique gym, less than call it less than 300 members, like, your churn should be below 5%. Like, there's no reason why it shouldn't be. And often it's because gym owners, they might not know the benefit in churn or having a member retention strategy, but two, they just don't focus on it, and that's not their fault. But they just haven't thought about it. We did it for years. It was just like more leads, more sales, more new members, and that's going to grow our gym. But
most gym owners know what their cost per lead is. Most gym owners don't know that the word churn even exists. So it is super important. And I think I'm part of the problem, mate, because the first 45 episodes of the podcast I've been talking about Facebook ads. But my first experience in Curry, if I looked after the members that I had and my churn rate wasn't 20% at the time, we would have made more money. And it's a crazy thought. It's a crazy thought to think that, like, what if every customer you acquired never left? Now, obviously, that's unrealistic. And you grow your business by one member a week, you're going to succeed. You can't not succeed. Like, you can fall ass backwards into a successful gym.
Yeah, but the other thing with focusing on member retention, which is client experience, essentially, like, is yes, you're going to decrease your churn, but because you're delivering a better experience to your members, you're going to create more referrers. So there's another lead strategy, and it's a heaps easier to sell somebody that's being referred to the gym than a cold lead that's walking through the door. So, like, yes, you're reducing your churn by 1, 2, 3%, whatever it is, but then you're also increasing your lead flow from referrers. So, like, it's a net positive by even more.
Mate, I've got a 2-hour live training on how to convert cold traffic over the phone through a sales script. When you're selling referrals, it's, hey, do you want to do what your friend did?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. What membership do you want to be on? I'll send you the link today. Like, yeah.
So mate, I'm going to tell you what I used to do back in the day, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on what is the best practice today, and then transition into why you created your software. So every single week we export our members list from Wodify. We have a system where Wodify will pick up if someone hasn't booked in for a session. We've had 2 head coaches reach out to people on Monday saying, hey, we missed you, let's get you back in. They haven't been on Wednesday, we send another message. Now, why I think that system is best practice, I have the advantage of I have really, really great staff that I love, care, trust, been with me for 5 years, but it takes a shit ton of time, mate. So, like, what do you feel like is best practice today, and how does your software help with that?
Yeah. So I guess your example, you've got to export a list. You've then got to constantly sort of put it in a spreadsheet to see who your list that you're going through. Very quickly, our software automates that whole process. So we'll connect to Wodify. We'll get your members coming into the list. We would notify your coaches on who hasn't been in for a period of time or who is at risk of cancelling. Which just eliminates the human part of just identifying. And don't get me wrong, the person still needs to reach out to that member because you need a human element to it. But it's just about making sure that it's done every single time.
So, Nick, I love gym owners, but I'm sure you know they're all horrible with tech. So let's just slow down a little bit here. So you have a software, for example, that would connect to my Wodify. And then as opposed to me having to give instructions to the staff to create a system to export the list for the staff to then reach out, and they're definitely going to miss people because they're human, your software will automate that entire process where it will say, hey, Brody, my head coach, X person hasn't come, please reach out today. So it just streamlines the whole approach.
Yep, absolutely. So without going into too much tech talk, there's a thing called an API, which is like how systems talk to each other. And essentially we integrate, and then we notify your coaches of members that are at risk. And I think, yes, it might be that they haven't been in for a period of time, but it also might be that they're just a low user. So maybe they've gone from 4 sessions a week to now 1 session a week. Like, that member's still at risk of cancelling.
100%. Man, that is such a great point. So I'm a Google Sheet wizard, and I've got sums and formulas for everything where we track attendance weekly, but we also see 14 days and 28 days. But if you don't have that system in place, the motivated person comes 3 times a week and then they vanish for 3 weeks. They are still at risk. So, mate, I have a question. What is the number of sessions that you would consider a member is not at risk that they should be attending every month?
Yeah. So I from a weekly perspective, I'd say if they're attending 3 sessions a week or more, well, then their risk of cancelling or suspending would go down significantly. If it's less than that, I would be, they would be on my at-risk column for sure. In saying that, sometimes it's about the movement. So they might always do 2 sessions a week and they've been around for years. But maybe the person that's been training 4 times a week then goes down to 2 sessions or 1 session a week because life gets busy. It might not be anything to do with the actual gym itself. It might be external factors, stress at work, kids are playing up, whatever it is. And then they go down to 1 to 2 sessions a week. And then what tends to happen is they start to feel guilty. So the member's like, I used to train 4 or 5 times a week. I'm only training once or 2. Like, now I feel shit about myself. And then
they feel like they're wasting their money.
Bang on. Yeah. They're not getting the value out of their membership, especially if they're trying, if they're paying 40, 50, 60 bucks a week. And then they go, well, maybe I'll just suspend it for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, Christmas is coming back. Christmas is coming back. School's back to school. It's Valentine's Day. It's Easter long weekend.
It'll just be after that next event that just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling.
So what you said then is really interesting. So when we sell people into gyms, I strongly recommend, hey, your goal is to get here 3 times a week. Because exactly what you said, if someone has the expectation of 6 days a week, if they come 20 times in a month, you, the physio, me, the personal trainer, know that that's enough to get a result, but they think they need to do 24. So having clear expectations from the start. But what you said then, mate, is just like the further you go down the retention data rabbit hole, it's how far do you want to go? And how granular do you want to be? And if you were to do it perfect and put as much effort into that as you were lead generation, it would take a long period of time. So run me through the software, how that actually works. So that exact example, Lindsay is coming 4 days a week for 6 months. Lindsay drops attendance to 2 times a week. She doesn't appear on our no-show report because she's still coming. So like, how does the software do that?
Yeah. So we essentially analyze the data. So we analyze your booking systems data, and then we've built some things in the back end that essentially score each member. And then if they pass that threshold, well, then they would be deemed as at risk. And so it's really simple. Like, if they're at risk and they get classified as at risk through our system, well, then your coach gets notified that, hey, Sally, I can't remember the name that you used, but Sally's at risk, and this is the reason why we've deemed them to be at risk. And it's just a prompt to say, reach out to Sally and check in on her and see, why she's gone from 4 or 5 sessions a week to 1 or 2 sessions a week.
So this may blow people away, but Facebook has 400,000 data points on every human being. They know me better than I know myself, right? So how many data points are you tracking? Because that example with Sally, right? You must be tracking attendance the week before, but you must be tracking average attendance if it's dropping for her to be scored as at risk. So, mate, a difficult question to answer, but what are those 2 to 3 metrics that would make up a member score?
Yeah. So there's lots of different data points that we collect. To really simplify it, it is when their last session was, what is their average session or how many sessions have they completed over a period of time. They're the two main ones, really. And then we've got some other things in there, like if they've got an injury, they're definitely at risk of cancelling. If they haven't had a check-in from the coach for a period of time, they're definitely at risk of suspending or cancelling. So there's
just to jump in, Nick, with checking with the coach, is that done through your software? So it like, for example, you send a message through there, and then this person's has a touch point.
We don't send any messages because we don't want to come across as it's just an automated message, because that defeats the whole purpose of a check-in. 100%. What you can do is you go through the list and you literally press a button that I've checked in on Sally, on Ben, on Sarah this week, and then that sort of we use that data as part of our scoring system.
Awesome. So what you just explained, Nick, is a very, very, very comprehensive retention system, and the majority of gym owners I know are currently doing nothing or next to nothing. So you implemented this into your gym, and you mentioned to me that it went from 8% down to 2%. So, like, what were you doing when you were 8% compared to what do you do today?
Yeah. The biggest thing that we did was a shift in our just thinking. It was, rather than just being so focused on new members, it was, hey, let's think about actually keeping these members for a long period of time. And so when you do that, yes, you implement a system and a process like what we've got with Recovr, but you also start to see all these other opportunities that play a role in reducing your suspensions and cancellations. So we're not going to say that, if you implement Recovr, it's the only thing that you need to do for retention, and you're going to drop your retention to 2%. But what it does do, it allows you to start thinking about things differently. So for an example, it might be, what's your first conversation like when a new member walks through the door? Or what is your, when was the last time that you just randomly bought a gym member a gift? You know what I mean? Like, they've been around for 3 years. They're just plugging along. They might not be seeing any gains. It's
just funny, mate, because I'm thinking, let's go into Facebook. Let's test these 5 new headlines, these 5 new hooks, these 10 images. Going to get those square photos into portrait mode. Going to post some reels. And if you put that much thought and detail into, well, what does the first 28 days look like for that new person? What are the touch points? What do we want them to experience? And then back to the marketing side of me, if you have more touch points, it's also a great opportunity to ask for referrals. Nothing annoys me more, Nick, when you don't talk to your members except when you ask for a referral. But if you have a weekly check-in or a weekly touch point, then on that third touch point, just I'm not sure if you're aware, like Revl is having a Bring a Friend for Free Friday. Do you have anyone in mind? But if you don't have these systems and software in place, you might ask a member at risk for a referral, and they think, "Fuck you."
They're gone. Yeah, I'm out of here. And that's
it actually prompts them to cancel.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you're like, well, you're only thinking about me because you want a new member. You don't give a shit about me as a person. But like the retention strategy that you mentioned before, and what part of our system is all about, it's a reactive system. It's, okay, they haven't been in for a period of time. Shit, I need to get notified. I need to reach out to that member. The member knows. If they haven't been in for a couple of weeks and then all of a sudden they're randomly getting a message from the studio manager to say, hey, mate, like, why haven't you been into the gym? Come tomorrow. We've got a wicked session going on. They know what you're trying to do. But I guess what we've tried to build into our gym, and I guess what Recovr is all about, is being proactive with that. So actually having a system where you check in and speak to every single member every single week. It doesn't have to be a sit-down half-an-hour conversation, but it's just a check-in. How's your training going, mate? How's life at home? Whatever it is. It might be a like on their Instagram photo, on their story, or whatever, just to feel like you give a shit about that member. And they're not leaving. Like, if they feel like they are included into the community and into the space, there's no way that they're going to another gym. Even if the product down the road might be better and it's new and it's fancy, like they're not leaving your gym.
And it's easy to cancel a gym membership. It's really hard to cancel a community. And if I care about you as a person, Nick, it is really hard for me to flick that message. And I think what all gym owners need to realize is I worked at Anytime Fitness in 2012. When someone tried to cancel, they'd have to call the hard phone. And then I'd have to get them into the club to sign a cancellation form. When the majority of boutique gym owners, the members have a direct line to you. They can message you right now, tomorrow, or the next day saying, hey, Nick, sorry, mate, going to cancel. So you have to do everything possible to show that you care about that person, to avoid that message happening, or to make that message as difficult as possible to send. And you are still going to have logistical cancellations. People get pregnant, people move away, people lose their job, but not 10% of your members. That's when you can get it down to that 2% mark.
Yeah. And I think as well, like, yes, if you can have that cancellation conversation with your member, you're able to hopefully workshop through and see if we can come up with a solution for that member. But in saying that, like, that conversation should have happened 6 weeks ago.
100%.
It shouldn't be left until they're gone, because again, it leaves a really bad taste in some members' mouths. Like funny
and then you try and charge them 30 days, and then they hate you. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I know. I'm with it. We've just transitioned from our cleaning company that we use for the gym, and to cancel that contract has been an absolute nightmare. And now there's no way that I'm referring anybody to that cleaning company, because the taste that's left in our mouth is like, nah, man, they suck.
Yeah. When I sell, mate, I sell from a position of care, love, and I build rapport and understand their reasons why, which allows me to then have the right to challenge them on some of their objections. And the principles apply with that cancellation conversation. If you haven't reached out to your members except for asking a referral, they cancel, and then you come over the top. Oh, you don't care about your fitness, do you? Oh, yeah, we'll see you in the new year. I know you've got time. You have no fucking right to say that. But if Nick knows Jayme, that I play AFL, I have 2 dogs, and Nick cares about me, Nick can actually have that, mate. Come on.
Yeah,
you're on the beers on the weekend. You're on the beers on the weekend, mate.
I know what you're doing.
But you genuinely can if you have that love and care.
Yeah. No, bang on. Yeah, couldn't agree more with you.
So, mate, going back to the numbers, 8% down to 2%, meaning that, for example, if you have 200 members, that means that you're losing, hang on, 4 members a month.
Pretty much, yeah.
You would get 4 members a month through referrals, through website inquiries, and through walk-ins, so the business can replenish itself without having to engage in a highly trained marketing company. I'm available. But if it was 8% and you needed to get 16 new members, that is when you have to put more effort into the lead gen.
Yeah.
And so the majority
we don't spend any money on marketing. Haven't for 2 years.
And what about when your retention wasn't as good? Were you net member positive, net member negative?
No, we were losing members for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We grew pretty well when we were doing lots of marketing. And then we started losing members quickly. And I think COVID, the C word, played a big role in that. Like it actually shifted our focus a little bit to, like, we have a really strong community here. We just need to build on this, rather than just thinking about new members. But yeah, like we haven't really spent any money on marketing for a while now. And yeah, the other benefits of that is it frees up studio manager's time. So she doesn't need to be calling leads all the time. She doesn't need to be doing sales calls all the time. She doesn't need to be introducing new members into the gym.
Yeah.
Because,
that's the point I was getting at. Like, if you can fix your churn percentage, the operational complexity of the business is much easier. And your coaches, they want to interact with people they already know and like. Like, I'm sure we've all been there. You got this big session coming up, 1 RM deadlift. Sally walks in first session, and the coach spends the entire session with Sally. It can literally not ruin the session, but like I'm not playing 50 Cent in the club in that session. I'm having some more people. Do you know what? But there's definitely a change in the studio. There's definitely a change in the studio if you got a first timer.
Oh, 100%. As you said, coaches love it. Like, they love having members that have been around for a long time because they end up being their mates. And like we've got, there's so many knock-on effects. Like, we've got our coaching group, like, we barely lose any coaches at the moment because they love the environment that they're in. You know, when we were losing members all the time, we had a pretty high turnover of coaches as well. So there's so many benefits to keeping your members around. And it's not, we're not the only ones that have come up with a member retention strategy. Like, good business is good business, and that's keeping your members, keeping any customer happy, really.
Yeah. I think what you said is really important. Like, obviously the software is great. It can help save time, but it is shifting your belief in regards to it is as important as lead gen and sales. And when you have both, that's when you have that good business.
Yeah. It shouldn't be or, it's and. It's lead gen and sales and member retention. And we're doing things at the moment. We're just about to release like a short course of actual member retention and how to train your staff and what's really important and the different touch points that you can utilize as well. Because for us, education is really important. As you said before, a lot of gym owners don't actually understand the importance of churn. So it's about sort of combining the two.
So Nick, if we install your software into Revl and you go from losing 4 members a month to 16, that means you're 12 members extra a month for 12 months. That means you need to replace 96 new members. Your average lifetime value may be $2,000 per customer. I hope it's more. It would be with your system.
It's more.
You're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you can move that churn percentage from 8 down to 2 with a much happier business, with much happier staff.
Yeah. But even just small changes. Like, if you go from 8 to 7 or 8 to 6, like, it's still an extra 50, 60, 70,000 bucks every single year. It's not, you don't have to be at 2-3% to make significant change. And to go from 8 to 6%, like, it's not actually that hard. It's a shift in focus.
Yeah. It may be like this is how you give a high five.
Yeah. Or just check in with your members. Just literally have a conversation with them. Like, it's not rocket science, mate.
So Nick, I've got 2 more questions for you. Second to last, what made you want to automate this process? And what made you want to develop this software?
That's a good question. I don't think I've been asked that one before. What made us do? I guess it just evolved, didn't it? Like, we were using probably a very similar system to what you use for years, and then we sort of ventured down the technology space. We've got a member facing app, which is more around helping injured members and providing early access to members to help get their injuries looked at. So that's also part of the whole member retention strategy is, if you can reduce your injury rates and suspensions, well, then that helps with member retention. So that's sort of where we started. And then it's just sort of evolved from there to be this bigger beast of a thing, because we noticed that gym owners, they need help with member retention and decrease in churn. So that's really where it started.
I think we're both trying to solve the same problem. Our done for you everything service was born out of that most gym owners, owner operators don't have time for lead gen, follow up, and sales calls. And that same person wouldn't have time to focus on retention. And if gym owners can get their time back, they don't burn out. And every single fit biz owner I talk to, they go through a period of burnout. And I've just never experienced that because we just don't. I've got Mitch, my business partner. I'm fortunate to have that, but most people are riding solo.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as well as anyone, like, the danger zone is that period between maybe 100 members, probably less, maybe 80 members to about 180 members, because generally at that stage of the business, like, you as an owner are doing everything. taking the classes, writing the programming, doing the leads, doing the sales, doing the member retention, doing the financing, maybe doing the timetable. Like it's everything. And because you can't necessarily afford to bring in good people when you're at that stage of business. And so I think, like you guys do really well, having somebody or a system that takes or gives your gym owner back their time to then concentrate on what they are really good at, talking to members, programming, training, running the classes. I think it's only it's a win-win, really.
Mate, what's one question that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
If the Crows are going to win the grand final this year.
And the answer is?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Mate, I was a centre half forward. I used to love Warren Treadray. He was my hero.
Really? Who do you barrack for?
I'm more of a Sydney fan, but I follow the NBA and UFC closely. But I used to just love Warren Treadray. He was a big, fat, slow bastard like me. Great set of hands and a horrible kick. I just identify with him so well.
Well, he was Port Adelaide, Port Power, which big rivals with the Crows. So
yeah, awesome. Well, mate, I really want to appreciate your time today. If someone wants to get in contact with you, how would they do that?
Mate, probably Instagram would be the best. I don't spend a huge amount of time on that, but it's just Nick_Hunter, I think _1, or just flick us an email at nick@Recovr, RECOVR.com.
Cool. Awesome, mate. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely day.